This is Lesson 1 of Excel Part 1, starting on page 1, Getting Started with Microsoft Office Excel. You want to use Microsoft Office Excel to store and analyze data for your organization, but you're new to Excel and it's hard to know where to begin. In order to take advantage of everything Excel has to offer, you must first understand the lay of the land. How do you interact with Excel? What exactly can it do? How do you get Excel to do these things for you? It is precisely these types of questions this lesson aims to answer. Like many Microsoft Office applications, Excel has a standard layout that provides you with access to all of the commands, work areas, options, and settings you will need to begin developing and using electronic worksheets in your day-to-day life. Taking the time to become familiar with Excel's layouts, its various parts, its commands, and its terminology is a critical first step towards your goal of storing and analyzing organizational data. In this lesson, you will navigate the Excel user interface, use Excel commands, create and save a basic workbook, enter cell data, and use Excel help. So starting on page 2, topic A, navigating the Excel user interface. Before you can effectively use Excel 2016 to store and manage your data, you need to become familiar with the application's environment. Specifically, you need to be able to locate and identify key components of Excel on its user interface. In this topic, you'll examine Excel's interface, including its various commands and options, so that you can quickly and efficiently work with your data in the ways you see fit. Microsoft Office Excel is an application that is part of the Microsoft Office 2016 suite of user productivity software. Excel is a powerful electronic spreadsheet program that allows you to store, present, manipulate, and analyze a number of different types of data. Excel's functionality enables you to work with and analyze massive amounts of raw data in order to obtain actionable organizational intelligence. This intelligence will help you make sound decisions to improve any number of business and organizational operations. So first, we're going to explain. There's a lot of talking to begin with before we actually get into it. But the difference between spreadsheets, worksheets, and workbooks. First, a spreadsheet is simply a paper or an electronic document arranged in tabular form. So set up like a table where you have columns going up and down. Here we have column A, and then rows going horizontally. Okay, so that's tabular form, set up a table. So this is a spreadsheet format here, but you can have it in paper, not just electronic. So this is used to store, manipulate, and analyze data. A worksheet is an electronic spreadsheet that is used for entering, storing, and analyzing data in Excel. Think of worksheets as individual pages within Excel that display and allow you to work with your data. If you take a look at the bottom, these are actually worksheet tabs. So the whole entire file that I have named Chapter 1 contains 3 worksheets. 2019, if I click on Sheet 2, you can see I made a label here, Worksheet 2. Sheet 3 is Worksheet 3. So you can have many different worksheets inside a file, which is considered your workbook. So a workbook is an Excel file that serves as a container to store related Excel worksheets. If you apply the individual page analogy to the workbook as well, the worksheets are the individual pages where the workbook is the binding that holds the pages together. The default number of worksheets in a new Excel workbook is 1. You can add or remove worksheets to suit your needs, and you can name, rename, and rearrange the order of worksheets in a workbook. The number of worksheets that a workbook can contain is limited by your computer's available memory. So again, this particular workbook I have open has 3 worksheets in it now. Now, if you create a new workbook, the default number that it will create is 1 worksheet. But we'll see how we can add new ones, we can rename them, we can rearrange them, we get into all of that. All right, the bottom of page 3, cells and ranges, An Excel worksheet is arranged in a tabular format, meaning it consists of a series of columns and rows that intersect to form a cell. A cell is a singular container that you can use to input and store data. So here, if I select this, this is cell A1. This is where column A meets row 1. So what we call a cell reference, how we differentiate each cell, this is A1. Where column B meets row 8, we have the cell reference B8. Now, a range is a group of cells that typically contain related data. A range can consist of an entire row or column, a group of cells in a row or column, or a group of cells that covers multiple rows and columns. So a range is many cells in a group. So a range I could select all of column E by selecting on the column. The whole entire column is selected. That's considered a range. Or I could click and drag from cell E2. I'm holding down my left mouse button all the way to E10. That's a range. I could do all of row number 7. That's a range. I could do A7 and drag to E7. That's a range. Or I could do across multiple columns and rows. I could do from B2 and drag all the way down through E10. That is a range. Okay, so a cell is one container of data where a column meets a row, and a range covers multiple cells in a group. Now, how you signify a range, the notation would be the first cell reference, which I started at B2, all the way down to E10. So how you type in that range, we'll get into what this is called in a second. It's actually called our name box. If I wanted to select a range, I could do B2 and a colon E10. That's how you write a range. Your first cell and your last cell. Now if I hit enter here in my name box, it's going to select that range for me. So you can either click and drag to select a range, or sometimes you have very, very large ranges, thousands of rows and columns, and you don't want to click and drag for that long. Again, you can type that right into your name box, starting with the first cell, then a colon, and ending with the last cell, and just press enter. And you can see I have the same selection here. Okay, so cell reference, where the column meets the row, range reference, the first cell reference, colon, and the last cell reference. All right, starting on page 5 in our books, we'll take a look around our Excel user interface. Sometimes that's abbreviated as UI. Your user interface contains all of the workspaces and commands that you will use to create and work with workbooks and worksheets. The general area along the top and bottom of the Excel user interface contains commands that display information about the current workbook and provide you with access to some of the more commonly used commands and tools. So up at the top, located right here, we have our title bar, and this is where the name of our file will display. So you can see I have chapter1.xlsx. Later on, you'll see, don't worry about when you open a file if you don't have the file extension shown. I'll actually go through that in one of the videos, walk you through the process on how you can display that if you want to. So that is known as your title bar. We know from Microsoft Word, this look familiar, our quick access toolbar. So this has easy access to commonly used Excel commands. By default, you have your save command, you have your undo command, and you have your redo command. And just like Word again, you have that drop down where you can add other commands up there if you wish. Again, just like Word, we have our ribbon. Provide you with access to the most commonly used commands for working with Excel workbooks and worksheets. The ribbon is organized into your tabs. Then within each ribbon tab, You have your group names listed along the bottom. You have the divider lines here. So here we have the alignment command group. Then within each group, we have our ribbon commands. Again, same setup as Word, only different commands, different tabs we have now, different groups, different buttons, but the same structure. Then a new thing that we have in Excel is this here. This is what we call our formula bar. And this is going to display the contents of the currently selected cell in a worksheet. So if I clicked on cell C10, not only do I have the cell selected, but you can see in the formula bar, it also displays the contents there. Now we'll get into sometimes what you see here is not actually what's in the cell. It may show a result of a formula. So the cell will show the result, but if you were to go up to the formula bar, it would actually show the formula or function that's kind of behind the scenes, which is getting you the result answer. Okay? To the left of our formula bar, like I mentioned a little while ago, this is called our name box, and this displays the cell reference for the currently selected cell or the cell reference of the active cell in your currently selected range. So if I select D8, you can see it shows the cell reference in the name box. If I select the range B2 through E10, it's not going to show the whole range of B2 colon E10. It's only going to show you the active cell, B2. You can see B2 is not grayed out here. It doesn't have that gray background. It has a white background. That tells us that is our active cell. And that means when we have a range selected, if I was to start typing 4,500, it's going to change it in the active cell. Let's make that 45,000. Press enter. It moves my active cell one cell down to B3. If I was to start typing, it's going to change the contents in the active cell. That's all that means. All right, we have our status bar along the very bottom of our application window, this very narrow bar down here. This displays the status of various conditions, such as the mode of the active cells, which is located here. Right now my mode is ready. It will tell you if you have your caps lock on or your number lock, and we'll see later on how we can customize our status bar to show different things. Then all the way to the right, this is part of the status bar, we have our view and zoom controls. You can see our view options. Right now I'm in normal view, which is pretty much your default view, what you work with most of the time. But later on we'll see our page layout and our page break preview views as well. And we have our zoom slider. Same thing with the word. You can zoom in, make your text larger, zoom out with the minus sign, or you can use your actual slider and just click and drag to zoom in or out. Okay? Then we're going to take a look at our inner part of the Excel user interface. We have our column headers. These are located here, all the way across. These identify each separate column with a unique letter or letter combination. When they say letter combination, if I had a very large worksheet and I went past the last letter of the alphabet, which is Z, if I keep scrolling to the right, you can see now we have letter combinations, AA, AB, AC, so on and so forth. When I get to AZ, it's going to start BA, BB, so on and so forth. So after your actual alphabet column headers, you'll get to letter combinations. Then you have your row headers to the left here, and these identify each separate row with a number. You can see they go in numerical order, obviously, going down. You have your scroll bars, your scroll arrows to go further down. You have the horizontal scroll bar as well, and your scroll arrows to go left to right. Then you have your worksheet tab navigation controls. which are these two arrows here. If you have many worksheets, you'll need to navigate through the different groups of them because sometimes there's not enough room to show so many. I only have 3 here, so you can see they're grayed out. But if I had, 20 worksheets in this workbook, I could move to view the different sections. These are your worksheet tabs. Again, I showed you just by clicking on them, you can navigate to your different worksheets in your workbook. But to the right of that, we have this little plus sign within a circle, and this is our new sheet button. So I have 2019, sheet 2, sheet 3. If I click my new sheet button, made sheet 1 for me, brand new worksheet. Plus sign, it's going to take the word sheet and just add the next number to it. I had 2 and 3, so it still needed to make 1. Sheet 4, click it again. Sheet 5, let's keep doing it until it activates those navigation controls for us. There we go. So now you can see I have ... That means there's more worksheet tabs before sheet 3. So I could click on my left arrow here and it brings me to 2019. All right, that's all that does. All right, let me delete all these extra tabs. We don't need all these. All right, I'm down to 2. Okay, what do we have next? All right, we know from Microsoft Word when we click our File tab, this brings us to our Backstage view. We have Info, New. We have our Open screen. To save updates to your workbooks, you have your Save button. You have your Save As screen for choosing a folder or hitting Browse to save to a location. You have your Print command to show your Print Preview screen, what it will look like printed out on paper, and some additional options from our Backstage view that we'll get to as we cover the course as well. All right, so I'm going to hit my back arrow to return to my workbook, select my 2019 worksheet tab, and we're going to take a look at page 10, which is our mouse navigation. And this is for different selection options. To select a particular cell, you just click on it. Simple as that. To select a range of cells, told you, you click, hold your left mouse button down and drag to your last cell. It will select everything in between as well. To select an entire column or row, if I wanted to select column F, the whole entire column, I click on the letter F, column header. So this selection will go on forever. Whole entire column is selected. Same thing for a row. If I wanted row 7 selected, click on the actual number. It's going to select that whole entire row. All right, and the rest is just scrolling. If I want to scroll over more, hit your right arrow, brings your view to the right. Go back, hit your left arrow, move down in view, hit your down arrow, up arrow, or you can also click and drag your scroll bar as well. All right, and then some keyboard navigation. I'm going to start on cell A1. If I want to move one cell up, down, left, or right from the currently selected cell, you have your arrow keys. Down arrow, right arrow, up arrow, left arrow. So you can navigate using your keyboard as well. Sometimes, well, you might think, well, isn't it easier just to click to select a cell? Yes, it is. But when you're typing very quickly and entering large amounts of data, you don't want to take your fingers away from your keyboard. People that can type very, very quickly, you want to keep those fingers on your keyboard, so it might be quicker to just use your arrow keys instead of taking your hand away going to your mouse and then selecting a cell and then trying to line your fingers up again on your keyboard. So fast typists will be able to understand that. If you ever have a cell selected, let's say I have I-16 selected, and I want to jump to cell A1, the very beginning of my worksheet, Control and Home will bring you to cell A1. If I had I-16 selected, I-16 selected, and I want to move to the cell in column A of the current row, so I'm in row 16, if I wanted to jump to A16, not Control Home, but just Home, brings me to A16. Okay? If I want to scroll up or down by one screen, you have your page up and page down. You can see page down brought me to the next screen full. Page up brings me to the previous screen full. Alt page up and Alt page down will do the opposite. Brings you to the right one screen full at a time. Alt and page up brings you to the left one screen full at a time. To move one cell to the right, so I'm in A16 right now. If I wanted to move to B16, your tab key. To move one cell to the left, if I want to go back A16, hold down Shift and hit your tab key. If I want to move one cell down, your Enter key. If I want to move one cell up, Shift and Enter key. All right, so you have a lot of keyboard navigation options as well as your mouse, obviously, as well. All right, and obviously if you wanted to enter data into a cell, you can just select it. I'll go ahead and select H16. Let's say I wanted to enter my name in here for whatever reason. With the cell selected, you just start typing it. You can see as I'm typing, it's entering it into the cell and also the formula bar. Now you have to remember to commit this data to the cell. It's not good enough just by selecting it, just by typing it in, I should say. You can press enter. You can select another cell and it saves it there. But when you're typing it in, you're in edit mode and you haven't saved that yet. Okay, so enter will bring you to one cell beneath it and input that text or numerical figure. Now, if you want to overwrite text, let's say I had my name in there and I wanted to overwrite it with my last name. I can select it. I don't have to backspace it. I don't have to delete it. When you have a cell selected and you start typing, it's automatically going to overwrite it for you. It will delete the previous contents there.
Your next video will be Activity 1-1 on page 13.